Hey everybody, it's your girl Nell. How are you doing today? This is a dreadlock love video, baby, and you know what time it is. It's time to talk about and celebrate my 20 years as a lock Nista queen, as a dreadlock diva, as a lock loving queen. Yay! Happy anniversary to me and happy birthday to my dreads. I am so excited. And the reason why I decided to make videos about dreadlocks is in celebration and honor of the fact that I started this journey in September of 2002 after years and years and years, literally crushing on dreads and loving everything dreads and just teetering back and forth about what I wanted to do as far as becoming a dreadlock queen, a dreadhead. I'm just so excited, and I decided that I would share the knowledge with you. All the things I have learned, my experiences, my frustrations, the good, the bad, the ugly about dreadlocks as far as my journey is concerned. So remember when you join me in the tiny studio and I'm talking about dreadlocks, just remember this is my opinion. These were from my experiences. Um, I've watched a lot of YouTube videos here, and I have, you know, really learned a lot. And that's one of the great things about social media, especially YouTube, is because I was able to navigate and really look at other people and understand their life journey, and some of the things that I've learned from them, I have been able to implement in my own journey. And with anything, you have to take what you can use and just discard the rest or regard it as what? As entertainment. So I've learned a lot, and I decided to join the voices here on YouTube talking about dreads. So if you are starting your journey, this is the place to come here in the tiny studio, and I'm going to do my best to impart to you the knowledge that I have learned these past 20 years, baby. I'm so excited. So this video is 5 things I wish I knew about dreads before I start my journey. And I've incorporated maybe several of the things or 2 things that my tiny studio assistant, which is also my daughter, I've incorporated some things that she wish she knew before she started her journey. And as I said, I've incorporated her ideas, and I've incorporated some of the things that, I wish I had known before I started the journey. Now, that's not to say that I didn't do a lot of research before, I started my life journey, and that's not to say also that I didn't, you know, seek out guidance, because in 2002 there was no YouTube. But I had the opportunity to, over the years, to talk to other dreadlock divas and ask them questions about their journey, and when I needed help and assistance, I was able to go to them to get advice on you know the do's, the don'ts, the ins and outs about locks. So anyhow, let's just get down to it. I'm doing too much talking. Here are the 5 things. 5 things I wish I knew about dreads before I began my journey. And number 5, this comes from my daughter, or my tiny studio assistant. She said that that number 5 is one of the things that she wished she had known before she began her dreadlock journey. And she wished she had known that it takes a lot of time to well, let me put it like this, that after you wash your dreadlocks, it takes time, a lot of time, before they are fully and completely dry. Because if you don't dry them or allow them to dry, then they will catch an odor, child. And that odor is, ooh, you don't want it. You don't want it. And many times the reason why our dreads have an odor to it is because we do not give our dreads the proper time to dry. And depending on how thick your dreads are, like my dreads are thick, my tiny studio assistant's dreads are thick, so it takes us time. So sitting under a dryer is not necessarily going to mean that your locks are fully and completely dry. It takes time. So you have to always be cognizant of the fact that what drying locks takes what? It takes time. So you have to be what also? You have to be patient. So that's the number five thing that I wish and my tiny studio assistant wish she knew or had known before she started her dreadlock journey or our dreadlock journey. Number four was my own thing. Now, I knew that wearing dreadlocks, I knew going in that there was a misconception about it, and I knew people had their own thoughts and, you know, misgivings or whatever about dreadlocks. But what I was not prepared for was people staring. And this is not just white people. I mean, black people too. People staring. Oh my God. I was not ready. I was not ready. So, what I wish I had known before I began my lock journey was the fact that people were really going to stare. When I moved to when I moved to Tampa, Florida, and I'm guessing there weren't that many dreadlock divas and gentlemen here, obviously. I don't know. But I know everywhere I went, people's mouths were open. And maybe it's because at the time, my dreadlocks, you know, were long. They hit past my back. They were down my back and almost touching my tailbone. So maybe they had never seen locks that long before. But, people started recognizing me, and people would come up to me and say, "Hey, I know you. You are the sister with the locks. I've seen you before. I seen you at the dollar store, or I saw you at the mall. I saw you over at the bookstore. I know you. How you doing?" And I would look at them and be like, "Oh, hi, hi." And then I say to myself, "What?" Or people would come up to me in the grocery store and say, "Hey, how you doing?" And I'd be like, "I'm fine. How are you?" And my husband would be like, "Do you know them?" I'd be like, "No, I don't." But later on they would say, "Well, I saw you at the store and your locks are beautiful." Or they would say, "Hey, how you doing?" And when I had to look at my face like, "Hey, who are you?" They were like, "I saw you at I saw you at the flea market, or I saw you over there at Macy's. I saw you over there at Dillard's. I saw you at Burlington. You know, I love your locks. I love your dreads. I wish I had the courage to wear some." People staring. White people, though, very, very rarely did a white person come up to me and say, "I love your dreads," or "Your dreads are so pretty and can I touch them?" Very rarely. It did happen, but they mostly stared. So that's number four. That's something that you have to watch out for. Something that I wish I had known before I started my journey was that you're going to get tons of people staring at your hair, staring at you. The number three thing that I wish I had known before I began my lock journey was, or, and also my tiny studio assistant, she also wish she had known that there were going to be, that right when you retwist your hair, that retwisting doesn't last long. Loose locks, loose locks. And what my tiny studio assistant was saying is that she wished she had known that there were going to be, you know, that she was going to have loose locks, and that sometimes her locks would unravel. And she had a lot of that because our textures of hair are different. So her locks unravel a lot within that first 5 to 6 month period of time when she first started locking. She thought that once you lock your hair, that's it, you're locked. But no, it really takes time. It takes time for your locks to begin that process of understanding what you want it to do. So it took her some time to understand that, and she got through it. She's been locked now for, I want to say, 5 years, almost 5 years now. For me, the retwist, I thought, you know that once I retwisted my hair, that it would stay for a month or two. But no, that's not how locks work. No, 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 no. And so, because I thought that when you retwist your hair, your locks is supposed to stay, neat and neat and together inside, just enjoying each other's company for about a month, because I thought that, and my hair did not respond to it. I started getting all kind of gels. I started buying every gel, like gel on the market, looking for that firm hold that's going to keep my locks in place for at least a month or so. And what I eventually realized is that no, a retwist is not going to last. It may last you a week. It may last you 2 weeks if it's, depending on your texture of hair and what you're using to retwist with. But as far as I was concerned, what I began to experience from using all of the gels and whatnot products on my hair, what I began to learn is that, all of that product begins to build up in your hair, and that causes a whole entirely different situation and issue. So that was something that I had to learn as well. But yes, I wasn't ready. And that's why that number 3, locks not staying retwisted, that is one of the things I wish I had known before I started my journey. And so did my tiny studio assistant. All right, number 2. Number 2, we're getting down to it. The number 2 thing that I wish I had known about locks before I began this journey is, and my tiny studio assistant agrees. As a matter of fact, this is what she said is her number 2 reason, or number 2 thing she wished she had known: shrinkage. Yes, indeed. Shrinkage is an issue because, we wash our hair, our locks, and when you wash your locks, oh, that length is magnificent. Oh, you swinging your lock here and there. You like, look at me, look at me. And as soon as your locks begin to dry, oh, if your locks are of a certain length, then that swinging of the locks, it's not as glamorous anymore as it was when your locks were wet. So yes, shrinkage is real. And I'm planning on doing a video about lock shrinkage. You know, it's really all about, and I'm going to go deep here for a minute. It's really all about perception. It's really all about how we as Black Americans, people of color, having this experience here in the Americas. It's all about the fact that we were fed a particular stereotype of how long hair is supposed to look, how it's supposed to feel, and what other people's reactions should be to having long hair. And long hair is and has been long viewed as the epitome of beauty, what womanhood, women's beauty is really all about. It's about long hair. So we have that perception, and then we also have that perception, that deep rooted perception that, you know, we want our long hair to look and swing about like our, you know, like white women, you know. And, you know, I don't want to go too deep into that, but that perception of long hair is something that we as African American women and women of color, wherever we may be, we can be in Haiti, we could be in Jamaica, we could be in the Caribbean, in the Bahamas, we could be in Ghana, we could be in Sweden, we could be where in the Netherlands, we could be in Europe. We have to get rid of that perception of long hair as it pertains to blackness connected to whiteness. And that's where the conversation about shrinkage really lies at. It lies with our deep rooted perception that beauty is white beauty. If you're ready to have that conversation, we can have it. Drop down in the comment section and let me know that you want me to go deep about Black women's hair and our connection and perception as it relates to white women's hair and the way that beauty has been misrepresented to us as women of color. I can go there. But yes, shrinkage is very much real. That leads me to the number one thing that I wish I had known before I began my lock journey. And this is kind of connected in a way to the number two reason. The number one thing that I wish I had known about before I began my lock journey about dreads is that it takes patience. It takes time. Growth is not overnight. No, it's not. Growth and length, those things do not happen overnight. And I think that because we have this warped sense of what beauty is and what long hair is and all of those things, because we have that perception of white beauty connected to our perception of what we think is black and beautiful, we expect our locks to grow long and we expect to be able to be swinging our hair, you know, like that. But that takes time. That takes time. And it depends on the way your hair grows. It depends on your hair pattern. It depends on who you are genetically. That is what hair growth is all about, and that is what decides length. Now, as your locks begin to grow, a lot of that growth, yes, is genetic, but it also has a lot to do with how you maintain and care for your dreads. Okay, because what people do not understand about long African American hair is that you have to take care of it. Okay, now I am one of those, you know, African Americans, girls who always had long hair. But I can also tell you that my mom worked hard on my hair and my sister's hair. Okay, that was a job. That was a job. And so with locks, it's a job. It takes time, it takes patience, but you have to put things into it. You have to work hard at it. Yes, you do. So that is the number one thing. The number one thing I wish I had known before I began my dread journey is that I thought that I was going to just have super length right out the gate. But no, it doesn't work like that. Everything takes what? Time and patience. So those are the most those are the five things I wish I had known before I started on my lock journey. And those are also a few of the things that my tiny studio assistant wish she had known before she began her lock journey. So I hope that this video was informative for you, and I hope I was able to address some things for you and just have a little fun today here in the tiny studio. You know, if you have any questions, as usual, feel free to drop down in the comment section and we can get the conversation started, or we can continue this conversation down in the comment section. So if you haven't already subscribed, please do, and don't forget to give me some thumbs ups. I really do appreciate it. And you know, it helps me to it helps YouTube be able to place my videos in certain areas on their platform. So thank you so much for hanging out with me in the tiny studio. If you have any questions or comments or concerns, please let me know. You can find me on Instagram at Nails Tiny Studio, or you can find me on Instagram at Blue Lotus Hill Designs, which is my company. So thank you so much for hanging out with me. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. And if you're on the fence about joining us here on this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful lock journey, you don't have to worry. Go ahead and do it. I am celebrating 20 years of being on this lock journey, and I must say it was one of the best decisions I have ever made. So thank you so much for hanging out with me. Join me next time here in the tiny studio, okay? Bye bye.